be joined by the new Transport Secretary, Anne-Marie Trevelyan. And I suppose before we get into the big rows of today, this is a conference that has been rather disrupted this year by a transport issue. The rail unions have decided to strike on the first and the last day of this conference in particular. A very concerted attack on Conservative politicians, journalists, activists gathering here in Birmingham today. Did you try and stop that?
So I've been in post 3 weeks, Tom, and literally the first thing I did was ask for all the union leaders to come in and see me. 2 of them so far have, and we've had a very good, initial conversation. I wanted to hear from them, their perspective. I'm obviously meeting all the train operating companies as well, and I want to hear their perspectives and where they're all trying to meet a negotiation position. So I was grateful to them all for pulling their strike action during the period of national mourning so that people could get to go and pay their respects to Her Majesty the Queen, and that was very important. But we seem to be back in normal territory at the moment. Their choice to strike, as you say, around the party conference, I'm sure was not unintentional. But what I'm going to be focusing on is providing an opportunity for all parties to share with me if they find they can't make progress. But I expect everyone to get around the table and try and find a solution. One of the arguments, of course, that the unions have been putting forward is the cost of living challenge is, an issue for their members as well as for everybody else, whether you're a union member or not. These are challenges. And of course, the Prime Minister has set out in her growth plan this enormous and completely broad-ranging energy package, which means that everyone, not only rail union members, but everyone is going to have their energy bills secured for the winter so that they don't fall into the risk of having bills up to £6,000. So I hope that will set a new tone and we'll be able to make progress on those negotiations and see them reach a conclusion.
Is an issue here with this broad-ranging energy package, expensive as it is, could run up to £150 billion of spending, dwarfing any proposed tax cut measure. Is the issue with that enormous intervention that there becomes less space to make other interventions? For example, on this benefits issue that we're talking about today that seems to become the row of the moment, is there an issue here that because people's bills are being frozen, because there's that intervention, other interventions become less easy, less palatable, frankly less affordable?
Well, so the energy intervention is, as you say, very special, not only for you and I, for everyone in their domestic situations, but also for all our businesses. So all those SMEs who are facing absolutely catastrophic hikes in their energy bills have had those secured at an affordable level. In doing that, we are assuring that businesses don't fall over, that people therefore are able to keep their jobs. These are all really, really important elements of the sustainment that this energy package brings. It also will suck the pressure out of inflation by up to 5%, which will help the Bank of England to make decisions around interest rates and hopefully keep them at the low level we're seeing.
But it limited the space to do other things. For example, upgrading benefits just in line with average earnings rather than in line with inflation. Is that something that is a consequence of that massive government spending elsewhere?
So in relation, and I saw earlier that Chloe had been on yesterday, but in relation to the decisions around benefits, that decision is always taken in the autumn. And no doubt Chloe will be looking at the data and looking to reach a conclusion on that in due course. That's a DWP decision. But I think the Prime Minister couldn't be clearer that what we want to make sure is that we support those, and always those most vulnerable are supported. But the energy intervention is the one which will assure that biggest part of the bill, which are most low-earning families needed absolutely urgently, and that is now clear and embedded and is there coming into people's bank accounts and energy bills.
On the point of principle around this, because of course the government hasn't formally declared its intention here, although there are rumours swirling, there are sources close to this administration saying various things. One of those things is, would it be fair for most people in work to get below average pay increases this year, perhaps 5 or 6%, and people on benefits get potentially double that increase? Does there need to be more equality between the raises that people who are in work are getting as well as those out of work?
So, as I say, Chloe Smith, our DWP Secretary of State, will reach a decision on what the right way forward is and what the right balance is. But remember that very many people who are on universal credit are also in work. The beauty of the universal credit system is it is there to support as those people come into work, and as their incomes grow, the universal credit fades away. So a very large number of the people on UC are also in work. So the reality is this is a complex picture, and I know that Chloe will take a very considered decision on what the right balance is to support everyone as well as we can, within, exactly as you say, the confines of finance, that the energy package, which we know is the critical element of support that families and businesses needed.
But no commitment quite yet. Just finally, back to transport, of course.
Yes.
Your brief. We've heard about a lot of proposals from the government. The government has been promising for a long time now a guaranteed minimum service on our railways, making sure that strikes can't be quite as crippling as they've been in the past. When's that coming about?
So, as you say, the Prime Minister set out very clearly, and indeed it's work that's been ongoing in the department. I've been able to arrive and find that a lot of the detailed legwork has been done by officials already, that this is something that we are all committed to, and the Prime Minister has been very clear that we will do that across transport, but also more widely, so that we can make sure that in this balance, the workforce is always important, of course it is, but actually the consumer, the customer is also incredibly important. You and I are customers of the NHS, of the education system if we have children in school, and indeed customers of the train if we get on and off it. So finding that balance to ensure that the consumer has a level of minimum service afforded to them when the taxpayer is paying the wages of all those people is something that we are determined to get right.
Now, I'm going to be slightly cheeky with one extra final question.
Go on then.
Because we've got a lot of viewers in the northwest of England. It's one of our biggest regions for GB News, and Northern Powerhouse Rail was a project that was promised by the Prime Minister during the leadership contest. Is that still a commitment of the department, and when are we going to see spades in the ground?
Yes, the Prime Minister has been very clear that she wants us to progress with that. So I've started looking in detail. Obviously, we have HS2, which is a big live project, and making sure that we are looking coherently for that long-term rail investment we're making, and Northern Powerhouse Rail will be part of that. I'm in the process of trying to get my head around the complex map that is our rail networks and understanding how we can do that most effectively and in a timely manner. I think one of the challenges, as ever, is making sure the supply chain can sustain it, and of course HS2 is at full pelt at the moment, so making sure that we get that progress in the right order is very important. So I can't give you a date for spades in the ground yet, but that's what we are working to get the scheduling right for as quickly as we can.